to the Fan Addict Sports Channel for sports fans by sports fan. I'm your boy, Coach I. Where my dogs at? All right, as you can see, this is a special episode for me. You know, I had a Georgia background up sometime, but this one I had to go with the red background. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a special episode. Because today we're doing another episode of Life on Campus. But today's guest, I actually went to school with. He played for the Dawgs from '94 to '97. Played wide receiver. I mean, once we get started, everybody that's a Dawg fan will know who this dude is. Dude's Corey Allen, man. I mean, we're talking about, the catch against Auburn.
Here we come up to the line. The stadium rocks and rolls. There's no way we can do it with 1 second. And Bobo throws that thing in the end zone, and yes! Touchdown! Touchdown in the goal line!
So we're going to go ahead and bring Corey in. He's going to tell us what it was like to come into class that included Kirby Smart, Hines Ward, Glenn Ford, Larry Brown, Travis Stroud, Chris Terry. All the Dawg fans out there know that. Let's go ahead and bring Corey on in and see what he got to say about his time in Athens and get his opinion on what's going on in Athens right now.
Growing up a fan, I watched, Herschel go over the top, listening to Larry Munson, things like that, just looking at games happen between the hedges as a fan and not even really thinking it would be a realistic opportunity to play between the hedges. Myself, it was a blessing to get that offer from Georgia. So on my recruiting visit to Athens, Bryce Hunter was my host, the late, great Brat, and he walked me in. He told me at the University of Georgia, we don't rebuild, we reload. So the expectation was high. We got Hassan Graham and Jerry German in the room, Jeff Thomas and Juan Daniels, Chris Craney, Matt Dixon, a lot of guys in there that I had a chance to learn behind. And it was just a great table to be set for me, and not to mention playing with a quarterback like Eric Zaya up for the Heisman. So a lot of pressure coming in under my recruitment because we were looking to perform. Georgia at that point was a 4 wide receiver set, so I came into a great situation. We come out on first down and 4 wides because our quarterback is up for the Heisman.
Yeah.
Great opportunity for passes to come our way. We did change quickly thereafter. But that's a part of the experience. I think that's a part of what some of these college kids don't really get a chance to deal with because they have more options. They got the transfer portal. They may see a situation not beneficial to them and decide to go elsewhere. We really had to look in the mirror when we didn't like coach. We had to look in the mirror if we didn't like what was going on and figure out, okay, do I want to stick this out here at the University of Georgia, the place I chose to come to, or do I want to go back home and get that 9 to 5 with a 30-minute break like some of my peers? So much different process than these guys are faced with now. But I envy it. I'm excited that they have these newer opportunities. But as far as my recruiting process, I always wanted to be a Dawg. So that's one thing I lean heavily on. If I see a kid, nowadays wanting to jump in the portal, please get off campus as soon as possible because if you don't want to be there, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, it's just gonna be miserable for you. I'm kind of half and half. I like it for the kids that they can get in the transfer portal. If they really think they got a shot, but then sometimes the other half is like I'm a little old school. I'm like, if it's a quarterback, I understand because you only playing one quarterback, and if the dude got 2 or 3 years, if he don't get hurt, then it's pretty much over for you. People can tell you, yeah, you can beat him out, or it's competition, but not really, not with because coaches like to stick with what's good for them.
Stability.
Yeah, exactly.
They like stability. So you don't get a lot of DJ Shockley that hang around anymore.
Exactly, and I thought we was gonna lose DJ every year. I'm not even gonna lie.
We all did. That's another North Clayton product. That's my brother. Same high school, College Park. Definitely, he played with my brother. So I was surprised he came. I was surprised he stayed.
All of it.
I love him both, and he seems to be reaping the benefits of doing what he did. He's still doing well, and I salute that brother.
Exactly. I mean, like I say, with quarterback, I understand. Maybe running back, but a position like wide receiver, I'm like, depending on what school you go to, I'm like, they playing like 4 or 5 wide receivers a game, man. I'm like, So, but
It's a tough.
it's a tough call, and ultimately people got to do what's best for them. So, coaches jump ship, in the middle of the night as we've seen. So,
Oh my goodness,
listen, I'm all about being fair. So if one can do it, then why not for the other ones, man? I don't know.
I
So,
got
you
you.
know what? So, we play ball at the Space Center a lot in the off season. But what else did y'all do, man? Because that's what I used to see. I either see you at the Tate Center or I see you at the Space Center. So, man, what y'all did for socializing? You know what I'm saying?
A lot of the times, because it's so few. See, that's one of the sides of a scholarship athlete that maybe the general population doesn't really understand or appreciate. Um, we have a regimen that's so strict. I mean, when I say we, I'm speaking about all student athletes. The regimen is so strict. The itinerary is set. And I'm not saying sometimes, I'm talking about every minute of your day is accounted for from 6 a.m. up until 10:30 p.m. the entire time you're in school. So when you do have that gap, when you do have that 24-hour off period or that day or two where you don't have to report to the coach, man, it's almost like we just trying to find some way to let our hair down. We needed to go down and we needed to go down immediately because I got to get back before X, Y, and Z time. So we would try to make it as much fun as possible. We would take a quick road trip to
Yep.
Atlanta as if the sun didn't shine. We would go visit our fraternity brothers or some of our former high school teammates at West Georgia or down in
Mm-hmm.
Statesboro. So we did a lot to try to travel to other schools within the state just to get a chance to fraternize with some of the guys that we would see playing on TV at the same time, build some relationships with guys we had a chance to know at a younger age. And it's all about mingling because a lot of us might train together in the off season. A lot of us might know each other from different relationships or battles we've had on the gridiron. So it was really just about, especially those guys who weren't from
Okay.
Georgia, it was really about letting those guys get acclimated to the environment, introducing them to some of the good food and some of the restaurants we've got in the city, introducing them to some of the other establishments we might have available to us. Because you got to get to know the environment if we want to keep you here. So that was really a big part of it. The camaraderie that we had a chance to develop when I was in Athens was really special. We had a lot of great leadership when I first got there, and it really showed us that they taught us how to carry that leadership on and treat that next generation properly.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've both my nephews they played D1, and they tell me, you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then from there till about 11, your day is planned for you, and it's like,
I mean, the gaps are so small. You would. I didn't believe it. I know when I first got to Athens, I called my mom, and it was one of those, and I look over because as a freshman, you're in that little bitty suite.
yep.
We
And
at
back
McWater
water.
Hall. We at McWater Hall, this little bitty suite. I got one bed over here, itty bitty twin, and there's an itty bitty twin over there that Hines is in, and we on the phone, both of us at the same time, having the same conversation. Mama, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I mean, because the environment was so demanding. I
Yeah.
mean, it was no longer playing
Yeah.
football. You really needed to understand that this was more or less your job. You can try to dance around it if you want to, but you got a lot riding on your presence and your performance and your preparation. And that's going to take a lot of that time. So just like your nephew said, I mean, we were literally, it was so much work involved. I mean, just as far as whether you look at the playbook or your physical conditioning, it's so much work to be done that there aren't any gaps in the schedule. I mean, there is really no time to take off. You have to get better, and that level of dedication is what it's going to take to find any success. Because what we chose to do was play football in the most competitive league in the
Right.
country, against the most competitive coaches, against some of the best players in the greatest stadiums that you can find. So you thought you were going to have fun. It is a challenge, and it's a day-to-day thing. So just getting through that regimen, just getting through that schedule, finding your way through that is a testament in
Well, you
itself.
mentioned the playbook, man. So when you first got on campus and they gave you the playbook, or you got it, the spring before you got on campus after you had committed and signed and stuff, what did you think when you first seen the playbook?
It's like trying to learn another language. It's like I know football, but now you just sent me French. It's like somebody sends you French and geometry on I don't even understand X, Y,
Yeah.
Z, um, pinch right shift. It's so much more into football than you can really explain. I mean, I feel like that's in every sport.
Yeah.
There's the basics of it, and then there are the intricate details that everyone in a professional environment or trying to get to a professional environment spends an inordinate amount of time trying to narrow down. Whether it's you trying to narrow that split down or get that time down or get that inch more on your jump, and it's us trying to make sure we execute 11 guys on the same page. We got 200 plays. We probably gonna run 150 of them during the game, and we need to be as close to perfect as possible. What do I need to do to be perfect? How can I get better? Is it in the weight room because my stance isn't
Mhm.
right? Is the playbook telling me that I need to get my splits wider? Do I need to be outside the numbers versus inside the numbers? Is this third down or second down? Am I inside the 20 or are we going long? What is the whole there are so many dynamics that come into play, and I like that because my background was as a catcher.
Okay.
So I played baseball growing up, and I really loved having those dynamics. It's almost like you got to work that algorithm in your head because you got to know where to be and when to be there. And that playbook was really one of the main things in football that I had to learn at an early point, because you got to learn more than one position if you really want to play. We got a lot of guys at this wide receiver spot, and for me to have a chance to play, it wasn't because I was faster than Hassan Graham, stronger than Bryce Hunter, quicker or more agile than Jeff Thomas. Hines isn't even at the position. He's over at running back with Terrell Davis. We got a full situation. Playing time is of the essence. My best thing is probably to learn how to block right now. Let me get in here and find a way to impact the game. Let me get on the field and give another man a break and make sure I don't bring the team down because of my presence. So being in that playbook, it can be uh, overwhelming. You see that playbook for the first time, it's going to be overwhelming because it's way more than what most kids back when we were playing are doing on the high school
That's
level.
right. And the playbook can separate you, like you said, from whether you play or whether you don't play, and it's like you'll see fans be like, well, this guy, he was a bust because he ain't played in 3 years. He might not know the playbook. I mean, to be honest with you, or he might didn't get in the weight room, or
That's the sad
and
truth. That's the sad.
that's just it. My nephew, the first 2 years he was at App State, he didn't get on the field. He was the best wide receiver they had. Didn't get on the field. Couldn't remember the plays. I was like, don't be mad at the coach. Get in the playbook. And like you said, you're already spending a lot of time, with the schedule they laid out for you. But that little free time you got, you might have to dive in that playbook again. You know what I'm saying? So you can
That's
get on
true.
the
That's
field.
true.
I mean, your success is up to you.
It is. It is. Your level of dedication is going to be what reflects, any success you have, and it does take. I'll tell you, for me, and this is probably what your nephew is realizing. You won't have success until practice is fun. And as crazy as that sounds, it's the only way this thing is gonna work. Because you got to be able to show up every day with that same drive, with that same attitude, with that same fervor of wanting to be better. That's the only way to get better. You can't take that day off. And if you take that day off, you better have a guy beside you that can push you over the
Yeah.
hump. Because when practice becomes fun, that's when competing is fun. That's when okay, I'm out here. This is where I'm supposed to be. Not only do I belong, but I know I can excel at this. I put the work in, and I want to show y'all what I can do.
With that said, most of the college football athletes I talk to, they say that their least favorite part, whether off season or in season, is fall camp after like the first couple of days. They say the first couple of days you be hyped up because you ain't, you know what I'm saying, you ain't hit nobody in a while. Then after like the third or fourth day, they like, man, come on, bro.
I tell you what, when you when camp gets started, it's a lot of what they call back in our day wolf tickets being sold. It's a lot of guys that are looking for glory that doesn't belong to
I
them.
got you.
When we get these pads on, I'm gonna show y'all what real football is. It's a lot of those guys, and every year, you're gonna get 30% of that crew breakdown right in front of you, and because it ain't about what you talk about. That was That's been the beauty of football. You know, you actually you better put your mouthpiece in because it can come from anywhere. And if you don't have your feet on the ground and a solid foundation, great form, and a strength and conditioning program under your belt or two, you might get handled out here the bad way. Like that's the beauty of being on that practice field. There is no mercy. Like I really did not like the
during
defense
practice.
until it was time to play on Saturday. I'm like all summer, you know, I hated the defense because that's who I'm competing
Yeah.
against. We don't wear the same color until Saturdays in the fall. So they feel like the opponent. I'm hanging with the wide receivers. We don't even kick it with DBs like that until the offseason. But it's really just behind driving competition. Practice is that intense. But when we get on a Saturday in the fall, and I get to put on that red bonnet with them silver breeches and that red top, and I see that defense doing the same thing. Oh, I know it's time to go to war. You know, I iron sharpens iron. I know what you did this week. You know what I did this week. We both know we're ready to play.
Okay, and mentioning that you know that you got to bring it every day. When you first got to school or whenever it happened, when did you know I'm in the SEC? This ain't high school ball no more. Like,
Oh, I got my lesson early. I got my lessons extremely early. Yeah, I got lessons from a guy that I was with earlier today. I had a chance to go to a golf tournament today for New Love Tabernacle out on the east side of Atlanta. Reverend Roderick Perryman of Dunwoody High School, my classmate and the guy who signed at the University of Georgia with me. His church hosted a tournament out there with my classmate, Larry Brown, Crim High School, and a former DB out of Washington County High School, who ended up playing a little running back by the name of Robert Edwards. I get there, Robert Edwards is still at
I was about to
cornerback,
say, yeah.
every bit of 6 foot, 215 pounds, 3.5% body fat. Just don't belong at cornerback. I'm coming out of high school. I'm like, wait a minute, y'all just showed me that this is the pound for pound strongest guy on the team. You know, I just saw the workout plan, and his name is everywhere, and he's lining up at cornerback right across from me, and that was a baptism that I got early. I mean, you won't see a young kid get thrown around until you saw the way he handled me my freshman year, especially early in that camp, because at this point he's already a rising sophomore and ready to start. So I got baptized in practice, and that's where you want it to
Yeah.
happen. You want to get better, you know, before you get exposed. You want to be ready by the time you step between the hedges. Otherwise, it can be a long road trying to get back to that spot. So, you know, I look at guys like Buster Owens, out of LaGrange, Georgia, played wide receiver, ended up playing cornerback, did get onto the Green Bay Packers. Carlos Yancey, um, like I said, Corey Johnson, a lot of those veteran DBs, Ron Bailey, Eric Robinson, a lot of those veteran DBs baptized me early, and I mean, that's the best way to learn because again, we look at it as iron and sharpening iron. So uh, those guys taught me a lot, put me in a position to learn on the fly, and didn't hold back while
Now,
doing it.
was you a trash talker, Corey?
I didn't talk a lot of trash. I'll be honest with you. Zay. I don't feel like I talked trash up until my
I
senior
was just
year.
about to say, I'm like, come on, all 4 years, dog.
Up until well, yeah. See, before then, I had no business talking trash. You know, I hadn't done
Yeah.
enough to talk any trash before then. I mean, you can't. It's a lot of guys that come out there and talk, and you're gonna get corrected as soon as possible. Like those corrections are being made, play in and
Yeah.
play out, all the way up through and after the whistle. There's a lot of talking going on, but it's about who's being productive. You know, I learned early that it's not about how much I say, it's about what I'm doing out here. I can't out talk these safeties at Florida. I can't out talk this South Carolina quarterback. Hey man, this guy at Kentucky, he know he playing on Sunday next year. I can't out talk
Yeah.
him. You know, there's no need for me to try to out talk Corey Chavis at Vanderbilt. You know, we played against pros a lot of the time, so talking wasn't about the business. It was about me getting out there, put my helmet in his chin, and letting him feel me, and then we can discuss it after the game. We'll figure out the conversation on the
Yeah.
back end. My job is to get in here and make sure you got to run through my chest before you get a chance to do anything to anybody else. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. That's where I had a chance to shine. You know, in my day, I was considered a bigger receiver. Nowadays, you find a 6'2", 20, 10-pound receiver
I was about to
anywhere.
say,
You know, nowadays, yeah, and nowadays that's considered, you know, he's supposed to be a big third down guy. So, you know, me going in there and blocking outside linebackers, taking on safeties when, you know, a lot of guys might not want to, making sure I get a chance to handle the cornerback every chance I get. If I get my hands on a cornerback, you know, I need to do you dirty. I need to show you why you don't want to put your hands on me. I'm really letting you know how this press game gonna go. So I need to give you a chance to feel me here early. And anytime we get a chance to line up and get that competition going, like I said, it always made us
That's
better.
what's up. Now I know you, like you said, you might not want no trash talker, but when we played Georgia Tech, I know you said some stuff to Georgia Tech.
I had to. Georgia Tech's a different game. That's a different. And see, Georgia Tech. Now, see, that's the thing about Georgia Tech. They talk more than we talk.
The fans, the
They make
fans too.
they make you talk. They will, and I respect that because it's clean old fashioned hate. Like Georgia Tech. I don't want to see them win any
Bruh.
game. Florida. I want to see them win until they play us. I want to be the one to beat Florida.
Okay.
I don't wish anything
I was
well
gonna
for
ask you
Georgia
that.
Tech.
I was gonna ask you, like,
Oh, Georgia Tech can go 0-11. Paul Johnson is my favorite coach. It broke my heart when that man left. I was like, what y'all doing? This man's got a legacy going. Y'all
I
gonna
know, right?
fire this man. Now they got the 404 chat everywhere and all this.
Stop.
I'm hating on it. I don't like
Hey,
none of it. It looks good and I'm mad about it. The swarmness, man, get
hey,
it out of here.
I'm rooting for
But
whoever playing Georgia Tech. I don't care what sport it is.
every weekend, that starts my weekend. It's usually a noon game anyway, so that starts my weekend.
I'm trying to think. It might have been last season or the season before. We had lost to somebody, but Georgia Tech lost too. I say, well, at least Georgia Tech lost. That's like,
As long as I don't have to hear that mouth, I'll be
I'm
okay.
telling you, man.
But I did talk a little bit. I talked a little bit of trash to Georgia Tech because again, you know, they're too close. I'm from Atlanta. They're in Atlanta.
Exactly.
We come down to their territory, their turf to party. They sneak up to Athens every blue moon and try to you know, we had a couple of run-ins where we would, you know, see each other
At the
and
pajama party.
so there was a lot of trash to be talked. There was a lot of trash to be talked, and a lot of those guys didn't hold back, so they forced it. But you know, I'm glad that you know, for me, things worked out the way they did when they did.
For real, for real,
Every
for real,
time,
for real.
every.
Now I'm gonna be honest though, as fans, basketball, I don't mind Florida winning. Like, you know, I just like basketball. But when it comes to football,
I got you.
I didn't like Spurrier when he was at Florida, and of course, part of that was because he chose Florida. You know, Spurrier running up on us, and I mean,
See,
yeah,
personal.
and then, so he made it personal. And Urban Meyer, I actually didn't mind at Florida, but I still wanted them to lose. But now, I don't really like Dan Mullen, man. I don't know. It's something about his character I just don't like. So I want Florida to lose to everybody, and I want to beat them down.
Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you the problem. This was going on, Zay. Let me go ahead and fill in these 6 degrees of separation. So you know, Spurrier couldn't beat Georgia. He won the Heisman and lost to Georgia, right? So it's really personal. Mullen was on that staff. Mullen was on that staff when he was running through everybody in the 90s. So Mullen feels like he's the closest thing to bringing it back to that. And I think that's what turns people off. He has a little bit of snide and smirk that he really hadn't earned just yet.
Yes,
Got a lot of talent. He did what he did in the West, but that don't count over here in the East. We don't give you any. It's 0-0 over here. We don't see anything you've done. That's not withheld to any standard. So you know that's his game. He'll play. My thing is, as long as we beat them in the fall, that's all that matters. I don't like what happened last year, and we got some business to address. Whether I like him or not, it's about the score, and that's the one thing I know. And that's really that all these rivalries are gonna bring a lot of heated emotion and a lot of arguments between fans and players. But the only thing I can do, especially as we look at our chance to wear that red and black, is make sure we win the game. and then I'll let it fall where it
Real talk.
falls.
And I don't know if you've seen SEC Media Days today, but he already taking shots. That's why I'm like, I want Kirby to run it up on that dude, man. I don't just want to beat Florida. I want to dog Florida. Like, I want them to know who the king of the East is now.
Yeah, you see, I'm glad I didn't see that, man, but I'm not surprised
So,
because he likes to poke Kirby. He likes to. He's trying to get attention. It's almost like a kid that just wants to be heard. You know, he's trolling. He wants those likes. He just wants Kirby to say something with either his name or Florida
yeah.
mentioned in and say, "Oh, I got you. I got."
Yeah.
You know, he's looking for clicks, and you know, I respect Florida.
Oh, they
That's
always
the
got talent.
trouble.
They always
Like
good now. Don't get it twisted. Yeah.
exactly, and we understand that's not in question. But you know, it's a way you go about your business that really that's really going to help dictate how we respond when we see Florida in the fall. I think Kirby's going to remember everything. He's got a long memory, smart man. Um, my question is, how does he want to do it to Florida? And that's really
Listen.
that's a big question, to be honest, for week 1, 2. But that's a whole nother argument because I'm just anxious about, you know, us getting a chance to see the Gators and everybody else on our
Yeah,
schedule.
yeah. Well, you know, like we was in school, you know, when they was getting the Jacksonville Jaguars stadium ready, and the one time Florida actually
Sir,
came to Athens.
don't do it.
It wasn't a pretty day for us, yeah.
I was
I
out
know.
there.
I know.
I was I was out there the year before.
It wasn't a pretty day in
The year
Athens. I'm like,
before.
I hate that that's the one time in my lifetime that they played at Athens and they put it to a Chris Doran. To the day I look at Chris Doran every time on the SEC network, I'm like, that dude was just going at will on us. I'm like,
Hey, look, man, that was just a time that, you know, I'm let me not sugarcoat it. You know, like I said, Spurrier was personal. He had a great offense.
yeah,
He had a great
he did.
system. He had a lot of talent at the receiver position, whether you start at
All time,
Chris
all
Gordon,
time,
Jack
all
Jackson,
time.
all the way down. Like just all his quarterbacks through the first rounders. And he knew how to get guys open. When we went to Gainesville and played at the Swamp, year
Yeah.
1 of the renovation, um, rough, rough, rough. That was Darren Hambrick, I believe, scooped a fumble up, went maybe 60 yards. This is before he transferred to South
Yeah.
Carolina with his brother because his brother played running back. Then they come to Athens the following year. That's their national championship season.
Yep.
That's what you gotta. So it wasn't a regular Florida team.
Yeah, that was Ike Hilliard, Riedel, Anthony, Chris Doran.
All of them.
But you know, so is and so is. That's like, I'm gonna tell you what, man. When Kirby first got the job, I wasn't all aboard, only because Kirby hadn't had any head coach experience.
Okay.
But I knew he was a good D coordinator, and he came from Alabama, and I'm like, okay, Nick Saban, all right, we'll give him some time. In 2017, when we beat Tennessee 41-0 at Tennessee, I was like, yeah, that's our coach right there. I'm like, because I don't like, listen, man, when we play Tennessee, Florida, and Tech, I don't want no coach speak. I don't want no good gamesmanship. I want to beat the brakes off them dudes, man.
And nothing wrong with that. That's, you know what, I look at it in a similar fashion, Zay. The main thing is I got to be a realist because of my time spent.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm fortunate for me, you know, Kirby and I got there same day,
Yep.
same class, 94 represent. I remember when we signed on, our goal was to, you know, get to the point where we compete for a championship. You know, we hope to compete for a championship. We hope to compete for the SEC. The goals now, they expect to compete for it. We expect y'all to compete for the SEC. That small, slight change from hope to expectation, man, that took 15 years. That's not overnight.
Right.
So when people you know, Kirby's not what he's going to
I don't
be.
think so.
He's made mistakes, and I feel like he'll be better. He'll continue to get better. I like him
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
But I tell you one thing: as we go through these bumps that he has experienced, and at no point I'm thinking I should have anybody else at the
Exactly,
helm.
man. I'm telling you, man. I'm a part of a couple of dog groups on Facebook, and then you'll see some stuff like hot seat. I'm like, hot seat? Like, Kirby is not on the hot seat, and nor should he be. I mean, he still has some learning
And
to do. You
no,
know what I'm saying? But
is that yeah? I'll call foul when there's a
yeah,
foul. Justin Fields fake punt. Okay,
still learning.
you
Still
know let's
learning though. That was his second. That
hey,
was his second, third year. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but what I don't want to happen is what happened in Tennessee when they fired Fulmer, and they still haven't recovered. I'm like, listen, I want a championship. Don't get it twisted. That is the number one priority.
yeah. You can't don't what is it? Don't cut your nose despite your face. Like I mean,
I ain't with the
the cupboard isn't battered.
I ain't with the
Like
6-6
you have
seasons.
to
I'm
be careful.
sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm not gonna hold any previous demons against Kirby Smart. I get caught in that conversation a
Yeah.
lot. Georgia don't want this kind of quarterback, or last time Georgia got to this point. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not gonna judge this current regime for the mistakes made
Yep.
before him. And I know those mistakes are
Yep.
real, but I can't put that on that's not on his
Nope.
jacket. You know, let's just figure out what he can do. Talk to me about his
Yep.
timeline, and then we'll go from
And see,
there.
I think every coach serves a purpose. I think Mark Rick came in and gave us those expectations, or at least hopes. You know what I'm saying? He came in.
He
He
definitely
he changed
did. He
he
definitely
changed
did.
us like Dunning. When y'all played for Dunning, we won average 8 games a year. You know what I'm saying? And then when Mark Rick got there, he was a 9-10 win dude. 2-3 SEC championships. I'm like, okay, I mean, all right. Now Kirby can try to take us to the next level. It's like, levels. And I got a Clemson friend, he a fan of Clemson. I said, I'm just gonna let y'all know this right now. When we do win the chip, because we will, it's gonna open the floodgates. I say we already recruit, just like everybody else, if not better. And so when we win one, I'm like, it's gonna be we probably gonna be obnoxious as fans. So I'm just letting you know but right now.
Probably. Oh, come on. Man.
I'm already obnoxious, Corey. Listen, they don't like talking trash.
I know it's gonna be bad. I really, what you're saying is it's a lot of truth to it though, because already recruiting at this level, it would just be that much more
Yep.
attractive. It would be the clear next, type of pipeline on to Sunday, because that's what these kids are looking for. They're looking for a direct route
Yep.
to the NFL right now. That is
Yep.
Alabama. If Georgia finds a way, if we could win the title this year, the recruiting is what it is, but it can always be better.
Always.
And that would just turn it up to the notch where, we have a chance to be consistent at that level, a good 3, 4, 5 year run, because kids come in are willing to sit behind kids that they
Yep.
know are going to be extremely productive. They're not waiting to play behind scrubs. This man's going to the league in the early round of the draft, and I'll sit behind him for a year and a half, be a sub, and get my time. It's only going to take me 2 seasons to do what I need to do anyway.
I mean, really. I mean, Elijah Holyfield.
You don't need 3 years.
Elijah Holyfield had one good season, and he in the NFL.
I tell you, that's the thing. It's 2 things. I mean, the SEC, it speaks for itself in a lot of ways, but you only need 1 good year in the SEC to go to the league. You're like it or not. If you have 1 good year, the NFL will take you. That's not me speaking. That's what the draft has shown.
Yep.
Another thing, the SEC has always had a playoff. It's called our regular season schedule. Because if you come out of that and win the championship, 9 times out of 10, you were going to the BCS. 9 times out of 10, you're going to the college football playoff. It's already built in for us, strictly because of the strength of schedule and how we come into the preseason ranked and rated, and how our players continue to get drafted early, year in and year out. The NFL is co-signing the talent. The prognosticators see the talent. And the best coaches. Nick Saban just got 2 NFL head coaches added to his staff.
Assistants, dog.
Come on, I mean, as assistants.
What's really going on? I need Nick Saban to
What are we up
retire.
against? So I'm just saying that's just the
Yeah.
league. And when the league has that much cachet and power, if Georgia can be the one to go to the
Yeah.
forefront and the recruit, now it is a nationwide destination. Now we've got more kids coming from the West Coast, 5 stars
Yep.
only, that want to come out here to Athens. 5-star from it ain't just no Sean coming from New
Yep.
Jersey down here to run the ball. So we already have it. It would just open the doors to more. And right now, we see that makes sense because Saban is doing it right now. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's
It's ridiculous.
it's
It's
scary.
ridiculous. That's why I
It's
need him to.
scary.
I need him to start looking to the future and spend some time with his grandkids. Something. Get on out of here.
He don't want to lie.
Listen, my homeboy told me, he said Nick Saban ready to retire, but he not ready to relinquish the crown. He wants somebody to come take it from him. And once one of his assistants come take it from him, he'll be out of here. Because he's that kind of competitor.
This is a good
Yeah.
year. This is a good year for it. I mean, I can overstate Georgia's chances, and I can also state what Texas A&M could potentially do.
If they have a good, if they
They
quarterback, do what he need to do, Texas A&M will be right there. So
because they've got a lot of talent. They've recruited well. They've got talent. I don't know. They're probably a year away,
yeah.
but they got talent. A
So
lot.
what you think of the Dogs this season? Like who the players you looking forward to seeing? What games you say? I know Florida's always going to be a tough game regardless of whether we dislike them or not. But like what games you see that we need to like really be paying attention to, and what players who you think going to step up this year?
I'll be honest with you, Zay. It is no sugarcoating it. There's no way to dance around it. I mean, our quarterback, JT Daniels, is going to be extremely important to us all season long. We really don't want to have to put a backup in a situation to play in any important game time. Hopefully, we won't be faced with that because we feel really good about what JT brings to the table. He's a signal caller that's not afraid to take chances, and that's going to be imperative because he's got the weapons on the
Yep.
perimeter. You look at a transfer like an Eric Gilbert coming over from LSU, Marietta kid, local guy, going to play the X position at the wide receiver, moving from tight end to fill that gap left by the injury to George Pickens. He'll be a prime target. We still got Washington, the 6'7" tight end. I'd love to see him get 6 to 7 touches a game just to impact the middle of the field and to have those linebackers and safeties extremely busy trying to tackle a monster running down the hash. Burton, Blaylock, Arian Smith. We've got talent at the wide receiver spot, and I think Coach Monken and JT Daniels are in a position to take advantage of that. I look at the offseason, those kids going out to the West Coast, hanging out with your quarterback, building that camaraderie. I can relate to that. I just look at my time in Athens, Mike Bobo. We mentioned, I was talking to Robert Edwards earlier today, and he was just talking about when he first saw Mike Bobo being a pudgy guy, throwing the ball around. Going into our senior season, Mike Bobo he rededicated himself to health and fitness, and he lost about 25 pounds that summer before our senior year, and that kind of thing really impacted us to let us know, hey, we've got to be focused because this guy is focused, and we see he's got this laser sharp idea on how he needs this thing to go, and we want to follow suit. I look at what JT Daniels in a similar fashion, what he did taking that team to the West Coast. Hey guys, get to know me. This is where I'm from. This is, the level we're going to need to have to be on as far as the relationship on the field, that unspoken communication between quarterback and wide receiver is something that it is needed and it's definitely an asset. So you have to build on that in the offseason. So I'm excited about what the offense can really be when you look at JT Daniels. The last place I'm going to go is my backfield. It's crowded. I mean, we got as many options as we can ask for. Zamir White's coming back for a season. A lot of us anticipated him to exit early and give his talent to the NFL. He's back to really put on strong for a senior campaign that should give him at least 35% of the carries coming out of our backfield. We still got James Cook, and he's going to the NFL. He's got to create mismatches and problems, whether he's in the slot, coming out of the backfield on screens, jet sweeps. We can line him up wide and let you figure out how you want to cover him. You'll be in trouble on defense 9 times out of 10. He's a special talent. We just need to do a better job of getting him the ball, especially in the open field, so he can create opportunities. Uh, Milton and McIntosh,
My favorite too.
chomping at the bit. This M&M
Oh.
combination is ready. They're ready for their
I'm
turn.
telling you.
These young men can play, deserve no backseat to anyone. You already know it. It's going to be rough for my guy Dejon Edwards, who's a great athlete.
Yeah.
But we only got one football on the field, and that's 4 guys that I'm gonna struggle to split my carries up properly. I don't want the injury bug in my picture. I want all 4 of them healthy. We can be a problem between the tackles. The last position is my O-line. I don't care who we put on my O-line, Zay. I don't care what the name is. I don't care what we line up, because you know what? That's the best recruited line in my room. That's the best room in the building. That room has got more 5 stars per man than anybody. So it ain't for me to decide.
Yeah.
I'll let practice weed that out. I'm gonna let the wars in the trenches figure
Yeah.
that out, because I also know that they got to go against Jordan Davis and Watson and these other guys on my D line. Again, iron sharpening iron. That's just, that I'm gonna let that work itself
Yeah.
out. If something happens, we got 2 or 3 subs ready to come in, guard, center, and tackle. So that won't be the issue. That's going to be the hardest part for Coach Monken and Kirby. It's going to be real tempting to just line up and run the ball.
That's what I was going to ask you. We know our boy. We know he's a defensive-minded guy, and you know how defensive-minded guys do. But I do see Kirby learning from his mistakes when he make mistakes. We in a day of offensive football where you have to put up points. Do you think that Kirby will personally? I don't think we should be air raid like LSU 2019 and everybody say we should be more of a Clemson where we're 60-40 pass and more so pass on early downs where people don't be able to predict run pass. And you just said with all them horses in the backfield, do you think it's gonna be hard for Kirby not to just revert to old styles and say, let me just hand it off? Because we saw it last year. Like we threw it like a million times against Mississippi State. Then we turned around and South Carolina was the next game. They didn't have none of their starting DBs. And JT, I felt needed some more practice because he had been injured. Game reps, game reps, practice reps is good, but game reps is better. So I'm like, we got a depleted defensive backfield. We can run if we need to, but we don't need to right now. I thought he should have let, JT get a little bit more passes in there. And I just don't want to come out against Clemson, have this new offense, win, beat Clemson, win, lose Clemson, whatever. We had this new offense. And then second game, we play Alabama UAB. And then we run it 70-30. You know what I'm saying? It's like I want us to have an offensive identity and the offense be the offense, regardless of who we playing.
That's tough. But it's going to be harder for us to hide who we are this year because we got Clemson out of the gate. At the same time, ordinarily, you're going to hide by nature because whatever you put on film, that's who you are. I do understand what you're saying, though, because when you look at when you look at Alabama and you look at LSU these last 2 seasons, they were the same team from the first snap to the last snap, and that's, I don't think we're looking for so much pass. I think what we're asking for is diversity in play calling and in formations.
Yeah.
I need more threats on my plays. If I'm going to run the dive, at least can we do it out of a 3 wide receiver set, from a position that doesn't look like I'm going to run the dive.
Thank you.
Anything, throwing on the early downs is important, or doing some more jet sweeps from, again, formations and motions that aren't particular to what Georgia's been
Yeah.
doing. Um, I don't think we necessarily have to throw
Yeah.
more. I think it is about when we
You're right.
throw. Now, at the same time, we do need to be explosive. Like I feel like the difference is the short passing game is what we're tired
Yeah.
of. When we throw it, the intermediate to long passing game needs to be the focus. That's what we've seen. LSU working these deep crossing routes, Alabama working the deep post, the deep nine ball. You know, you've seen all their receivers run all the way across the field. You're like, number one, how do you have all that time? Number two, why don't we run that play? You know, it takes a lot to do that.
Listen.
It takes a lot to do both of those things. But I feel like because of the personnel we've
Okay.
got now, we've got explosive guys that can threaten that defense in a deep technique. We've got linemen that can sustain a play action fake. My running backs understand to pick up that block and don't let Aaron Murray get killed as he rolls out on a play fake against Auburn when the game's on the line. We just got to be who we are. We got to be consistent.
Yeah.
And I feel like we can do it this year. It's not really about throwing every
No.
down, but we do have to have the threat of the pass on those running downs.
Exactly. And I've said now for the last couple of years, because I heard it a lot. Of course, I'm here in South Carolina, so I get it from Carolina fans and Clemson fans all the time. So in 2018 and 2019, they like, y'all wide receivers can't get no separation. I'm like, it ain't that the wide receivers can't. Like, look, I'm gonna tell you, I ain't playing college, I played in high school, but it take a special dude to get separation on a stop route. You know what I'm saying? And when we had the previous OCs, they shall remain nameless. We ran a lot of stop routes, Corey, or routes that came to a stop. And like you just alluded to, Alabama and LSU in these championship years, they running a lot of crossing routes, a lot of post routes, and all of those routes are continuously moving. It's hard for a DB to stay with you if you always moving. You know what I'm saying? If you run 10 yards and stop,
that's true.
I can recover if the ball ain't out the quarterback hand. And now
True.
we got that talent. So that's all I want to see, because I've been watching Todd Monken since he was at Okie State. And actually, you're right. He didn't just pass the ball. He had 1,000-yard rusher and 2,000-yard receivers.
Exactly. Like he spread the ball around, and the main thing. One of the main things we also have to always keep in mind is Georgia's going to recruit to this. So when I say it's going to be harder for us to hide who we are, Clemson, we're going to throw all our eggs in the basket. Clemson will be who we are. Kirby's going to try to win the game. Kirby might come out and run the ball 60% of the time because Clemson's D-line is really known for pass rushing. Brazee he's a great pass rusher. He's huge. But our best option with their linebackers and their ends might be to run the ball on those guys. And that's that's going to be hard for most Georgia fans to swallow. It depends on how it looks. Like if we can do it out of the right formations, like the read option, maybe that's not what we're doing, but we got to show some versatility. We can't be under center, handing it off to try to run into the mouth of that defensive line. They're better than that.
Especially in the bunch formation. Especially in the bunch formation when we got two tight ends and one wide receiver. I've always been down with running the ball because we are Georgia and we always have good running backs. But I'm like, if we're going to run the ball, even under Mark Richt, I'm like, just put 3 wide receivers out there. Put 4 wide receivers out there. Let Todd Gurley do his thing. Let whoever it is. Like, don't just bunch them up and tell the defense exactly what we're going to do. We want to have some kind of surprise factor about it.
True. That makes sense. I tell you what, I'm anxious to see this year because one of my favorite formations, you might be surprised, is too tight. Too tight. You can do anything in a 2 tight end formation if you got 2 good tight ends. I played with guys like Larry Brown, Jermaine Wiggins, Randy McMichael, Javaris Johnson. Like, tight end wasn't the issue. We had plenty of them. Love those guys on the field. And in the way the game is played today, if you got 2 tight ends, you can just take them on and off the ball in motion. Like, these guys are receivers anyway. Like, the tight ends I'm talking about, Eric Gilbert and big Darnell Washington. Like, if you put him in the slot, how are you going to treat that? are you going to treat that like it's a receiver or a tight end? Either way, you really are not in a good
Yeah.
position. There is no win. You don't know what I'm going to do if I come out of the huddle with both of those guys on the field. That diversity has always been intriguing in play calling. And I think Georgia's going to be able to use a lot of that because, again, they're expecting Eric Gilbert to play this X position. So he'll be lined up at wide receiver. But as a guy who's played the X, you make a lot of crucial blocks right there. A lot of them. A lot. That's a seal block. You don't have a tight end on your side. Tight end's on the other side with the Z. So you the guy that's going to seal the edge. That's a wide open edge. He's over there with a cornerback. This man's 6'5", 240.
That's what we need. We need that.
Exactly. So we're going to have to run the ball. It's just the dynamics of how it's going to look. I think, and that's really going to be on Coach Monken. The play calling, I agree. I'm looking for 60-40, either way. But you need to be dynamic in the play. We need to be able to run and pass out of the same sets. And that needs not to be clear. That's what made the running back Edwards-Helaire at LSU. That's what made him special because you didn't really know what LSU was going to do.
And all the formations, actually, when I watched LSU, man, all their formations looked like they was going to pass. It didn't matter what and then they came out and then, Edwards-Helaire had like 1,300 yards that season. So
Edwards-Helaire also had almost 600 yards received.
So, and we got the backs to do that. You know what I'm saying? So
I think not to cut you off, I think what you just mentioned is everything. Every formation we show, we better show pass plays out of it.
Have to.
That's what'll get the defense to even think that. Even if we line up in an eye, the first thing we better do is throw the ball. Just so they can see, oh, shit, you'll throw the ball out of the eye. That's not just a running formation. And even though LSU wasn't in the eye, what they showed you is we'll throw it out of any formation.
Anything. That's what I'm saying, man. It's like, I don't know. That's, I think, what Georgia fans, like, we all know we got the talent. We know we got the coaches, but we just need to know that y'all going to be dedicated enough to, like you say, be able to throw out of any set. And don't just look like, you go back there in the eye or you go back there with two tight, one wide, and then you run the ball. Or you go like, this leads me to a question I've been wanting to ask somebody that actually played football on that level. When we drive all the way down the field. I know it get kind of hectic down there in that red zone because the field shortens. But we get in there. I know you remember, it was 1 year we played Florida, and they stuffed us 3 straight times at the goal line. I was thinking, okay, the first time we went heavy package. They stuffed us 2 straight times. I was like, okay, why not just go 4 wide? We always got a running back that can make that 1 yard. Why not go 4 wide or 3 wide? Now you got the defense spread out. Everybody ain't in the box. Tell me why coaches do that.
Man, they outthink themselves. Coaches always do that. Coaches always overthink a situation. I mean, it's human nature.
Yeah.
Because he's over there thinking, I know what he's thinking, and I know he's thinking what I'm thinking. If I do this, he'll never guess this because it's the obvious.
I'd be like, it's like running your head into a brick wall. Spread the defense out so our running backs can get loose. That's all I want you to do.
Man. Yeah, a lot of coaches had that problem, man. They find themselves, out coaching themselves.
Sometimes making the game too hard. You know what I'm saying? Let these athletes be athletes. One thing, like I coach high school basketball right after college, and a guy that helped me get started, he said, Isaiah, if you ever get in the situation where you don't know what to do, let the athlete be the athlete. He's like, just let him go make a play. Because that's what you recruited.
True. That's true. That's the best thing to do. Because you don't have to explain that. Yeah. And because I got a buddy of mine that coaches, and I'm always telling him, hey, look, let's not trick. We're not here to trick. Because he coaches football, and I don't like trick plays. And I'm like, we're not here to, line up and just make them do what they're supposed to do. Because even if they're not successful, you just got a platform to coach off of. Like that just became a coaching tool right there, live and in
Man,
color. And if he is successful, it's only gonna happen if he does it the way you told him to do
you
it.
just mentioned trick plays, Corey, and I'm gonna tell you one of the worst. In I ain't gonna say it's the worst trick play. I'm just gonna say one of my least favorite trick plays ever was what
Here we go.
2018. We at LSU, Jake Fromm and company, and LSU gets the ball first. They march down the field. They score a touchdown. We get the ball. We running it down they stinking throat. And we getting like we was in field goal range.
Oh
And this is
yeah.
my thing.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like listen, I was good. I was like, kick the field goal and let them know, okay, we can charge down the field on y'all too, and we'll take this field goal or go for it. If I'm like you, don't do a trick play. If you listen, I'm arrogant. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna line up and say my dude's better than your dudes. So we just gonna go for it.
But that's what the trick play is
But the
saying
trick play
when you run.
to me tells your team we got all the way down here, and I don't think it. This is me thinking as a coach. It tells my team I don't believe in you enough to line up and beat these dudes.
I mean, you're not mistaken.
And
I
I felt like
the trick play, that's what it means every
and
time.
I felt like that
that's
killed
what-
our momentum against LSU. And I was like, and from there, it just was an uphill battle after that. And it's like, if we had to just kick that field goal, matter of fact, that's it. LSU scored a field goal on us first, not a touchdown. And then if we just kicked the field goal, we tied up 3-3. But two things I had problems. I just told you the first that I don't like running trick plays because it don't instill confidence in your kids. Second of all, you ran Rodrigo. That's our All-American kicker. You might have got this dude hurt.
Almost got him hurt. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, you speaking about the game. That's the game. That's the game Justin's supposed to play. That's the game.
I wasn't even gonna
he
go
should
there.
have
I
put him
wasn't even
in.
gonna go there.
Well, you did. You did it on purpose. You did it on purpose. That's the game. It's bigger than that play. That
was the perfect
game
opportunity
like,
for Kirby.
okay, he's having a rough game.
Yes.
He needs to be taken out. Like Fromm is struggling right
big
now.
Time.
And it was him for the first time. It was clearly misthrows and misreads.
Yeah.
It was a bad game in the first half. That was the perfect time to at least let's figure this thing out with the kid you got. Like that was the fire he should have been thrown in on the road at LSU. But
we was already fighting an uphill battle, so I'm like, this is, like you said, it was a perfect time because, like you said, that was the first time that I can remember that distinctly Jake Fromm was the one that wasn't playing good. And I'm like,
exactly.
Anybody else you take out. You know what I'm saying? So
he was supposed to be taken out. He was supposed, even him then. And the thing about it, when I say take him out, it could have just been a series or 2 or 3. Like it was warranted.
Yeah.
It was give him a break.
It wasn't like you was taking something from him. He had to say he had earned some bench time with the way he was playing.
Exactly. Like he was trying to ask you, take me out.
Put this dude in so we could see what he got. And like you said, it didn't even have to be permanent. It didn't even have to be permanent.
See, that's my thing. Just take him out, let him look at the game from the sideline because that matters. Like that's a huge perspective change that a lot of players need sometimes. And I've been in similar situations where I'm on the sideline feeling like, man, X, Y, or Z. I go in the game and I'm like, no, that's not what's going on. This is what's going on. You know, now I know I got a real angle. And there have also been times where I've been in the game and I'm thinking, man, I don't know why I can't do X, Y, or Z. I come off the field or we go into halftime and you look at the cutouts, you look at the tape, you look at, what they have been doing to us. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is what you got to be able to reposition your perspective to make some of these adjustments. And it's not about benching your quarterback. Sometimes you just need to just give him a series off. And we wouldn't even do that. That was discouraging. But
So,
You drug that game up. I can't believe you
hey,
did that to
man.
me. I don't even go down that road.
Listen,
But I love my coach.
listen, Kirby is our coach. We are rooting for Kirby. He's our classmate. He was your teammate. We are rooting for Kirby. But I'm just saying, dog, we got to call a spade if we're going to keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? We can't be yes men out here, Corey. We got to, hey, you know what I'm saying?
I understand. I'm not
But I'm
going
gonna
to
be honest, dog. Like me and my boy did talk about it. I was mad Justin didn't get in, but I'm like, oh, aside from Justin not getting in, you about to hurt our All-American kicker out here running.
Yeah, Rodrigo was a celebrity.
I'm like, you get Rodrigo. We might have to talk
celebrity.
about hot seat, dog. what you doing out here?
It was early in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what games you looking at outside? We already know Clemson gonna be a head knocker, and we know Florida always gonna come out our necks, whether we beat them or not. Who else? Like I got one other team in mind, and it's not just the team; it's where they position on the schedule, and that's Missouri. Because I feel like we're gonna go into the cocktail party. We're gonna do what we do there, but it's still gonna be a hard game. And then Mizzou gonna be waiting. I think they got to bye the week before.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
And I don't think we're gonna lose.
It's a trap game.
We're gonna lose, but I think it might be closer than what we want.
Well, it's a trap game. I mean, a game coming behind a big rivalry matchup. They got to bye going into it. They're not a traditional SEC rival that we are looking for on the schedule, even though they are an Eastern Division opponent now. It's definitely a trap game. In those games, our biggest asset is our depth and the fact that we should be able to win those games being vanilla. So, now the thing about it is that's not what the fans want. Like Georgia, the struggle we're having is changing our vanilla. Vanilla used to be, we're just running on you. We'll beat you 24-12, 24-13, 30-15 or whatever, and just get out of here with whatever it takes to win. The new vanilla fans and players that we recruit want to see, or we just go out here and throw for 380, put up 5 touchdowns passing, have one guy rush for 100, 2 guys score rushing touchdowns, and get out of here 45-15 quietly. So that's what the fans want, and that's really more indicative of championship caliber football right now, because it's not the old defense wins championship model that we came up type of situation. So that's going to be interesting to see how we go about our business. What are we? Who are we? Are we going to run first, or are we going to be able to be flexible and throw this thing around the yard?
What you just said is you said it in a better way than I was trying to say earlier, like with the game like UAB. I'm not saying we got to throw it 70 times against UAB, but you know what I'm saying? When I say the offense is the offense, I think back to last year. Mm-hmm. Clemson is playing Georgia Tech, beating the dog walking snot out of them, and I'm loving every minute of it. Get to the fourth quarter, Corey, Dabo, not even to poke the bag, Georgia Tech, but just he was trying to get his start. He was trying to get Trevor Lawrence out. He had already got the backup quarterback some time. He put in Will Spires at quarterback. That's their punter. But that wasn't even, to me, the disrespectful part. The disrespectful part was that Will Spires was still running the regular offense. Because Dabo said 2 years in, he said the offense is the offense. It doesn't matter who's on the field. That's a problem I had with Justin, when Justin Fields was there. Okay, he the backup quarterback. I can live with it. But when he get in, why he ain't throwing the ball? Get him ready. This is why Clemson can replace people, because these dudes already got live game reps. We ain't just handing the ball off. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of thing.
That's a good observation. I like that. That makes sense.
I mean, like I'm saying, if let's say we blowing UAB out, we don't want JT Daniels to have to play for a quarter, right? Because that's more chance for injury. So Carson Beck, Stetson Bennett, whoever, I think it should be Carson Beck as our backup, but that's for another podcast episode. Once he get in, he should be throwing the ball. We already up 30-40. Why not throw the ball to let this dude get some live game reps? What is he really learning outside of what reading coverages and recognizing defenses pre-snap when he just handed the ball off for a whole 13 minutes? Like, he's not really learning nothing.
True. I think it's an old school theory, old school thought process. When a coach sees a big lead and you put that backup quarterback in there, it's one or two things. It's really two or three things that can happen, and two of them ain't good. Like, he can get in there, and if he gets in there and let's say he's not prepared, which is why he's the backup, and he's not prepared. Are you going to let him go in there and throw two picks and put your defense back in a position to have to run back on the field, depending on the margin? Or let's just say you run him out there and he is prepared, but he just doesn't have success.
Yeah.
Because you can be prepared and still not have success. So I think the hesitancy, because coaches want to groom a guy, they want him to experience success. He's already not playing a lot. Historically, that's been the thought process, which is archaic when you look at what Dabo's doing. But I've been on the sideline and watched the guy run in there, and I'm like, okay, don't run this and don't run that, because he ain't ready for that. And, please don't put us in that. Don't go play action with him in the game. He's gonna get all of you, type of situation. So I think that's on the coach. I think Dabo has a different way of coaching, and that is, I think more coaches are gonna follow suit because it's really more suitable now. And I relate that to let's bounce around real fast. Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. If you got a backup in Baltimore, he needs to be running the same exact plays Lamar's running. It shouldn't be a different offense, because you can't do that to your offensive line. It has to be a similar style guy when you're doing, anything like that. That continued repetition and not changing regardless of who's in the game, your offense will be better, when you do that. I've seen that happen before. More coaches, I think, are going to lean towards that. That's a good point you bring up.
Yeah, because and you just said, I talked about the quarterback getting reps, but you're right, because by the time the backup quarterback is in, most times the line is the backup too. So now they need the reps. And if they only getting in run block and run block and run block and run block and run block, it's like, if I'm going to get beat, I'd rather let my left tackle get beat by a speed rush when we up 45-13 than to have to put him in due to injury and then say, man, don't get beat. We'll get JT hurt.
Man, I tell you what, you see it happen so many times. Guys get in there and not really ready for the moment. So you gotta protect the guys around them too. You don't want to put too much on anybody's plate. You definitely got to protect the guys around so that everybody understands what the role is, what the job is, what we're trying to get done. Because we're definitely trying to get better every snap.
Definitely.
How you handle that backup is
different. It is. Now, I'm not saying go, sub all 11 out on offense now. When I was coaching basketball, listen, if I had a player that I didn't know if I could count on, I'll put him out there, but I'm going to leave 4 starters out there with him. You know what I'm saying? That way they can cover some of his mistakes. So I'm not saying put Carson back in and then switch the whole line. We can't do that. Then we're going to get everybody killed. Now everybody mental is gone.
Give me all the threes. Give me all the threes.
We can't be doing that, man. You know what I'm saying? So, but it sounds like you thinking we might have a shot this year.
I think so, man. I think we got a good core of guys. I'm really excited about what we got on defense because we do have a strong front seven, and then at the same time, those transfers into that secondary are crucial. Getting Tyreek from West Virginia, getting McKendrick from Clemson. We needed those players more than we would ever love to admit, especially at those positions.
No experience back there, so.
None, really. So just to bring in high caliber guys with playing experience on a high level with some success. You know, that's really been an asset for the Dogs this summer, and it's really going to help because I feel good about my front seven. I like what I got out of all of my linebackers and my defensive
I
line.
say the best time to break in a new secondary is when you got a good front seven, because if they get the pressure that they need to get, we won't have to cover for as long a period of time.
Exactly. That's the main thing. I feel like we got a chance to really apply pressure with that front seven, especially with my outside linebackers. We got a lot of guys, whether you look at Nolan Smith or you look at Big J. What's my guy coming off the edge? I know
Trayvon Walker and Devontae Wyatt.
Devontae
Yep.
Wyatt. That's my
Yo,
guy.
I
I
love
like
Devontae,
Devontae
dog.
Wyatt.
So
I mean, we got some hosses on that line. We at least two deep, and those are going to be the guys that help that pass rush really come off that edge. My linebackers are, N'Kobe Dean is really positioned to be the top tackler in the
yeah,
conference. He's coming back off a monster sophomore season. He's got shades of a Roquan
yeah.
Smith floating around. So I like what we got in my front seven, both on my D line and my linebackers. And I think the transfers that came in are really helping to solidify my secondary.
Okay, that's what's up. Well, I appreciate you coming into the Fan Addict, Corey. I can talk you all night, man. We just have to bring you back on, man.
Man, I need to come back. I need to get more out, man. We got a full season
That's
ahead of
right.
us.
And
So, man, you just keep me posted, and I'll sneak back into the attic whenever you
hey,
let
man,
me
you know
let me
you
do.
always welcome. You know what I'm saying? These classmates, we have to do it for one another, man. For everybody out there in YouTube land, for Corey, this Coach I. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And we are out. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.